Good evening to you viewers. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinox Television. Tonight, the election of councillors and members of the National Assembly has been announced for the 30th of September 2013. It follows a presidential decree signed today in Yaoundé Central region of the country, and also 7 persons are said to have died in a ghastly road accident that took place today in Puma along the Douala-Yaoundé highway. These are major headlines, details and more just in a moment. Thank you once again, viewers, for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinox Television. We begin right away with the electoral call that has been convened for the election of councillors and members of the National Assembly. A presidential decree signed this afternoon by Head of State Paul Biya states that the voting would take place on the 30th of September 2013, and it is coming at a time when some political parties in the country have begun organizing their primaries. And senior reporter Christopher in the following report takes a look at the level of preparedness within the ranks of some political parties. His report.
Very faithful to his policy of always appearing from the angle he is least expected, Head of State Paul Biya has once again taken Cameroonians by surprise, inviting them to the polls on September 30th, 2013. The decree signed and made public this July 1st convening the electoral body comes barely days after President Biya's second prorogation of municipal councillors' mandate to begin August 1 and to end November 1, 2013. This prolongation now gets suspended by the new decree as it cannot go beyond voting day slated for September 30th this year. And this brings up 2 other issues. The first being that once the electoral corps is convened and election date made known, Elecam's doors get automatically closed as registration stopped immediately. This, of course, not to the taste of perpetual latecomers who enjoy last-minute hustling. The second issue is the fact that political parties, especially the ruling CPDM, are yet to organize primary elections aimed at designating parties' candidates for upcoming elections. Cameroonians are thus convinced to exercise their civic rights at a time when the leading opposition party, the Social Democratic Front, is tearing apart in the Vuri division. Yeah, the party's first vice president, Joshua Ossi's candidature is highly contested in Douala 1 electoral district at a time when the controversial Jean-Michel Ninche has won primaries in Douala 5. Worth mentioning equally that the different fractions of the UPC party meeting in Edea recently agreed on proposing a common list this time around to avoid a remake of the shameful slap received during the senatorials. Cameroonians have thus been called to the polls on September 30, and the campaign train will soon kick off with its lots of political promises with rice and fish to fill stomachs, while the real issues like lack of road, water, electricity not living out, or the hikes in prices of basic necessities to address.
Meantime, the National Assembly is set to have tabled a bill for scrutiny precisely on the regulation of the civil aviation sector in the country. Roland Akong, a Yaoundé-based correspondent who read through the over 150 articles and now tells us more in the following report.
The bill organizing civil aviation activities in Cameroon is the first bill to be examined by Cameroonian senators. The bill, with 195 articles, proposes a legal framework which guarantees air safety and security in Cameroonian airports. It also proposes the creation of a civil aviation fund to finance civil aviation activities in Cameroon. The bill was submitted to both chambers of parliament, first to MPs during a plenary at midday, and later at 3 p.m. to senators during a plenary at 3 p.m. Both houses are expected to examine the bill, which has been described by some deputies and senators as a leap in progress in the civil aviation domain in Cameroon.
Roland Akong, the reporting from Yaoundé. Meantime, the persistent water crisis that hit the town of Betua-2, where in the east region of Cameroon, is now a thing of the past. This follows the construction of over 10 water points by the Betua or the Betua Council, but the locals are still complaining of bad roads and lack of electricity in the said locality. For Hansen Chanji tells us more in the following report.
Inhabitants of Betua-2 will no more trek for long distances in search of potable water. After living for a long period in an almost drought condition, potable water has been made available to the population and they can now drink with panache. Life seems to have returned to normal to the people. Before now, we used to trek for long distances to fetch water from a school. At first, the water wasn't much and could not satisfy the public. Even those living here faced difficulties in fetching water, if not of this initiative. The brainchild behind the construction of over 10 potable water points in this area is the municipal council. The population have been suffering from this water problem for long. The council could only offer it modest. There are over 10 potable water points offered to the different neighborhoods in the Betua-2 council. Even though potable water has been made available to the people, like Oliver Twist, the people say some inhabitants of Betua-2 still live in the dark as a result of lack of electricity. They have also called for the rehabilitation of some roads.
And just to announce that the Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafuda, was in the economic capital Douala today, where 15 hospitals so far received safety equipment for their blood banks. The equipment worth some 320 million francs CFA was donated today by the United States President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, an occasion for reporters who went to the field to find out from Minister Andre Mamafuda on the condition of persons living with HIV and AIDS. This follows reports of how antiretroviral viral drugs have suddenly dropped, or the supply has suddenly dropped in hospitals in the economic capital Douala as well as in the central region of the country. Minister Andre Mamafuda said that the government and the international partners are mapping ways to boost the supply of antiretroviral drugs in hospitals. Without any precision, Mr. Andre Mamafuda simply said that the situation would be redressed in the days ahead. And just to add that 6 persons are said to have died in the space of 1 month following a sudden drop in the supply of antiretroviral drugs in hospitals in the city here in the economic capital Douala. The information was disclosed, that was yesterday, by a local association of persons living with HIV and AIDS. The drugs, which is the principal means of survival for HIV patients, are said to be absent for weeks now, precisely at the Lakentini Hospital here in the city of Douala, and a situation which has left so many HIV patients lamenting on some of the opportunistic diseases that they are exposed to, such as chronic headache, fever, just to name a few, and they are calling on the government to do something as soon as possible about the situation. Meantime, let's talk about the visit of the Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafuda, who was in the economic capital Douala, where we talked about 15 hospitals in Cameroon that have so far received blood safety equipment for their blood banks. The equipment worth some 320 million francs CFA that was donated today in the city of Douala by the United States President's emergency plan for HIV and AIDS relief. Details once again with Hansen Chanji. We surely shall be coming back to that in our subsequent newscast. We are having some difficulties bringing to you that particular report. Now, let's talk the ghastly road accident which took place along the Douala-Yaoundé highway. That was in the early hours of this morning, where a Yaoundé-based tax inspector and a family are said to have died in the said fatal road accident that occurred particularly around Puma along the Douala-Yaoundé highway. Like I earlier indicated, reports say a Toyota Highlander with the said victim on board, or the said victims on board, came head-on with a heavy-duty truck as the driver tried to overtake an oncoming public transport bus. The tax inspector, wife, and 3 children died on the spot, including 2 persons on board the vehicle, or 2 persons that were in the other vehicle, and 3 persons are also said to have sustained severe injuries as a result. The injured and deceased victims have been ferried to the St. Andrews Hospital in Puma. And viewers, that does it for this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We are going to be talking about the convening of the Electoral College by Head of State Paul Biya. It follows a presidential decree that was signed today in Yaoundé Central region of the country. Our guest tonight is a journalist. Good evening to you, Mr. Tria Swebo, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege for another time being with you here.
A privilege as well to me, Mr. Tria, and it is coming at the time when many Cameroonians were expecting that the Electoral College will be convened on the 11th of October. Surprisingly enough, to many, as political analysts in the country are saying, the presidential decree has stated that it's going to take place on the 30th of September 2013. Are you surprised as well?
Not surprised at all, Mimi. It should be noted that this country is being ruled by a single party for over 30 years. So, and the same scenario has been taking place. I don't know why it should be a surprise. So, Cameroonians should know that the Cameroon atmosphere is clouded with politicians that are there for their personal interests and not for that of the population. So it shouldn't be any surprise. Our opposition leaders in the country, they know what has been happening since 1992, and the same scenario is going to repeat itself in 2013. So I don't see it to be any surprise. Any Cameroonian.
What happened in 1992?
1992, I want to talk. I want to come back because if we are to talk about the municipal and parliamentary elections, we should call history. We should remember history. So we know what happens in 1992 after the presidential election that took place. So political parties, opposition political parties were unable to grab a seat. Even in 1997, we saw what happened. The Social Democratic Front refused going into the parliamentary election, and all of a sudden the president of the UNDP, National Union for Democracy and Progress, he accepted going into a coalition with the president of the republic, the ruling party, and what happened, every Cameroonian was aware, and we saw what happened. So it shouldn't be any surprise.
It shouldn't be any surprise that
Thank you very much.
Cameroonians were expecting that it would take place on the 11th of October.
Of course.
And the presidential decree dated today that was signed by Head of State Paul Biya is indicating that it's going to take place on the 30th of September 2013. Now, all the political parties that are vying for posts that are going in for the twin elections, that is the municipal as well as the legislative elections that are built for the 30th of September, have 15 days to submit their list to the elections governing body ELECAM. Are you seeing, what are the implications given this short frame of time? Everything will be done in the rush.
Yeah, a short frame of time, Mimi, like you said, I don't see it short. It is what the law stipulates. That is what the law says. So those political parties that had their preliminary elections to elect their councillors and so on, they will go in successfully, like the Social Democratic Front that did that in some days backward. So it shouldn't be any surprise. Like I said, it is something that is in the constitution of this republic. And like I said, I don't even know why all these opposition parties are accepting to take part in these elections if they are not going for their own personal interest. Like I said, I've ever wondered in this country to know why these politicians, they still fail to know why youth are unemployed in Cameroon. They have never questioned to know why we don't have roads, we don't have good potable water, and so on. But what they care is arguing about elections, You will see somebody today walking on the street without even having a bicycle, not talking of a motorcycle. Immediately he's elected a mayor, the micro project money that is being given to the mayor or these parliamentarians, you find them driving, riding in 70 million cars and so on. Should we continue talking about elections rather than caring about the situation of the Republic?
Boycotting the elections maybe solve some of these problems that you are raising?
Yeah, of course.
Political parties.
Yeah, it is not only, it shouldn't only be boycotting the elections, but these opposition leaders to go in for a coalition. Because if Frundi is coming in for coalition, you might see Adamu Ndamjoya refusing. If Bello Buba is accepting, maybe Frundi will refuse. So that is why I said at the beginning of this program that Cameroonians, the political atmosphere of our country is clouded with people that are ready for their personal interests, are fighting for their personal interests, and not for that of the Republic.
Not that for the Republic, according to
exactly.
you, Mr. Tria. And so far, the elections governing body who is going to start, who is going to be seriously at work as from now till the electorate is convened, and also the twin elections finally take place, and the results proclaimed would stop the biometric registration of voters.
Yeah, that will be done automatically, but I still question, like I said some minutes ago, you know, the election governing body, they talked of about $1 billion that is to be spent for these twin elections. So I still wonder where this money will come from. We saw how much was spent during the senatorials, and the same incident is going to take place in couples of months. But yet Cameroonians are still unable to eat. They cannot go to the hospital and get themselves cured. They cannot go to school. They cannot get jobs for themselves. Is elections going to be the solution to our many problems that we are having in Cameroon? I said no. That is not the situation, and that is why I said this, our opposition leaders like John Frundi, Adamu Ndamjoya, Bello Buba, Maigari, and so on.
This is the political calendar of the country, the much talked about, the highly awaited, the many questions were being raised as to when it will finally take place. Now it has come, and Cameroonians are still complaining.
It is the politicians that were posing these questions and not Cameroonians. You should go down to the street. You should go down to the street there. You will see the number of youth that are in need of jobs. You should go down to the street and see the situation of our roads. You go to the market and see the prices of the basic commodities and so on. So those that were claiming or even doubting on when these elections will take place were politicians and not Cameroonians. And they are fighting for their personal interests, like I said. To make it an example, you see since 2007, these municipal councillors and these mayors and these parliamentarians were elected in 2007. So their mandate got expired about a year ago. The President of the Republic kept on extending their mandate. Nobody complained. At the level of the Assembly, you've never seen any political party or any opposition party struggling to fight for the interest of the local population.
But the local population, they are the ones to vote for who they want to represent them and to be able to table their grievances to the hierarchy. And they are the ones to vote for the various municipal councillors here.
This is why I'm calling on the attention of all Cameroonian youths and those who are out there listening to this program, that time has come for Cameroonians to think, to know where they are driving to and what they should do and who to vote, when and how. So these people that you vote them may be at the level of a village, and you find them living but in Douala in the city, not knowing the reality, not knowing the situations that the local populations are going through. These people should be sanctioned. So we should stop talking about election. We should stop talking about politics and so on. Cameroon is going through a serious recession since about a year or 2 years today, and the government is not there to give a good directive to these situations or solutions to these situations. They keep on spending money. Not long ago, about a month or 2 months, Cameroon left and went to Kenya to borrow money to come and help the economic situation with. Why should you go to a neighboring country to borrow money when you stand in a night and spend about 4 billion, which is not normal? How many billion is to be spent during these upcoming elections? Is that what is going to build the Mungo Bridge? Is that what is going to build the Bonaberi Bridge to give room to access for the population that are going and coming from Bonaberi. We know what is happening in Cameroon, so they should not keep on being blind to our various problems.
These elections were supposed to be postponed to better the well-being of Cameroonians.
Exactly, like I said, it is not what Cameroonians are in need as at now. They are not in need of elections, and if you go down to the street there, that is the same question, that is the same answer most of our Cameroon youth will tell you. They are in need of jobs. They want to eat. They just want to have access to treatment. They just want to have access to roads and many other basic commodities and amenities.
I'm talking about primaries organized by some political parties. You earlier talked about the Social Democratic Front, where they are so far organized their own primaries, even though it is actually a tentative one in the economic capital Douala as well as some other regions of the country. Now, so far, nothing has been said about the ruling CPDM political party. Their primaries not yet organized. How do you look at it? Will it only see the various candidates nominated?
They will surely be nominated, Mimi, like you said, because no one is not aware of what happened during the senatorials and all the misunderstandings that is among the Cameroon People Democratic Movement Party. So if they are going to organize the primary, it might not favor some of these government officials that are always there to serve the regime, and they don't want to resign. So what is sure is that some of what is sure is that in the CPDM, they will rather be nominated than being organizing the primaries like it took place with the SDF.
Now the date for the holding of the elections proper seems to be a problem to some observers. It's actually going to take place on the 30th of September 2013. It's going to be on Monday. Many are speculating that it's going to paralyze activities, particularly economically. Do you have a similar view?
Yeah, of course, it should be similar, and every Cameroonian should think to that direction, because I don't know why an election should be held on a Monday. But that is not even the situation. Holding the election on a Monday is not even a situation. Why should do I say so? Because apart from that, we have so many other things that paralyze the activities, the economic activities in our country, especially here in Douala. We know what is happening. We don't have roads. If you have to leave from Akwa to Bonajo, you will have to spend about an hour. We saw last week it wasn't possible to cross the Bonaberi Bridge, and most of these economic operators are in Bonaberi. We know the number of industries that are within the area of Bonaberi.
But this one is different, Mr. Tria, because activities are going to be on a standstill. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm rather saying that apart from the fact that the election is to be organized on a Monday, it is not the only issue that paralyzes our economy. We have many other things that the government still pay a deaf ear to them. And they do as if they were nothing, but they keep on, they take money, they go and spend on issues that are of no importance, rather than trying to listen to the local population, of course.
So the biggest problem to you is that the problems that are plaguing the Cameroonian population, like bad roads, should be looked into.
Yeah.
The problem of excessive traffic congestion be looked
Exactly.
into. Access to health, it should be taken into consideration. And talking about access of health, before we go, Mr. Tria, there's this issue of absence of antiretroviral drugs for persons living with HIV and AIDS in hospital. And so far, local association for the fight against HIV and AIDS in the economic capital, Douala, has revealed that 6 persons have died in the space of 1 month as a result of the drop in the supply of the drugs.
Yeah, that is another tragic incident that is taking place in Cameroon. But like I have always said, it is not HIV/AIDS only that kills people in Cameroon. Our roads are killing every day. The fact that we don't have good access to good potable water, it kills a lot of Cameroonians. We are talking about HIV because it is a pandemic that is being known worldwide. So if we have to talk about Cameroonians that are suffering because the government is not there to take care of them, we should think of the root situation. We should think of the bad treatment Cameroonians are having, the quality of water they are having. But the most surprising thing, Ironically, you know, the government always sit and they wait for the worst to come before they sign a degree. Why did the minister not do anything when this job got finished? It didn't get finished like this morning.
The economic capital Douala and said that things would get better in the days ahead without any precision. He came to
Douala this morning. He came to Douala today just to spend money, not to take a decision.
He actually came because an international organization for the fight against HIV was donating equipment to some 15 hospitals in the country.
Yeah, I know. Go behind the New Belt prison and see what is happening. Is that not another problem that seriously concerns the health of Cameroonians? Why did the minister not go directly there to see the situation and witness the situation by himself? Why only coming when an international body is about to build hospitals and so on, or when 6 people has died? They should look at the other problems that are really causing problems, disturbing this country.
So to you, Mr. Tria, so many things are there to be looked into, so many problems to be solved by the government.
Exactly. Politics is not the solution in Cameroon. We have other problems.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tria, for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Thank you, too.
And to you viewers, we thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast. On Equinox Television, we have come to an end. Join Etienne Pascal as again at exactly 8 p.m. for the French version of the news. Meantime, have a wonderful stay in the company of our programs. Good evening to you all.